Okay, so you want to own a gym. You picture finding a large, empty building, lining the walls with mirrors, filling the floor with racks and treadmills, opening the doors, and collecting monthly payments from everyone who wants to get in shape. Then you visit a successful club at 6 in the evening. Every bench is taken, the cardio section is moving, music is playing, trainers are walking between clients, and people are waiting for machines. From where you are standing, the business looks almost impossible to lose money on. Hundreds of people are inside, thousands more may be paying from home, and the same equipment can be used again tomorrow without manufacturing a new product. But the crowded evening is only one version of the business. At 10 in the morning, most of the same room may be empty. At 2 in the afternoon, the front desk may be watching one member walk through the door every few minutes. The rent does not become cheaper during those hours. The treadmills do not stop depreciating. The air conditioning, insurance, payroll, equipment financing, cleaning, and software continue whether the building is full or silent. A gym is not really selling exercise. It is selling recurring access to the possibility of exercise, and the financial outcome depends on how many people keep paying, how few of them arrive at the same time, and how long you can keep that relationship alive. That is the strange economics of owning a gym. You can have a packed parking lot and still be losing money. You can also have thousands of highly profitable customers who almost never enter the building. Before you sign a lease, you have to decide which version of the business you are actually building, because the word gym covers several completely different bets. A budget club may charge somewhere around $10 to $30 a month and depend on thousands of members. The equipment is basic, staffing is lean, classes are limited, and the building may be large enough to resemble a supermarket. Your margin does not come from one customer paying very much. It comes from collecting a small amount from an enormous database of people, many of whom use the club only occasionally. A mid-market commercial gym may charge $40 to $80 a month and offer a larger weight floor, group classes, showers, more staff, and a stronger sense of community. A premium health club may charge well over $100 a month and add pools, spas, childcare, cafes, recovery rooms, lounges, and services that make the membership feel like part fitness product and part social status. A boutique studio goes in the opposite direction. The space may be small, but the schedule is built around one activity, one instructor experience, and a limited number of spots per class. It can charge more per visit because the customer is buying coaching and identity rather than simple access to equipment. A personal training studio may abandon traditional memberships almost entirely and sell appointments with coaches. All of these businesses contain weights and people in athletic clothes, but their economics are not interchangeable. The budget club is betting on volume. The boutique studio is betting on yield per customer. The premium club is betting that the customer values the entire environment. The training studio is betting on the productivity of each coach. If you choose the wrong building for the model, the wrong neighborhood for the price, or the wrong staffing level for the service, the business can fail before the first membership is sold. Start with the building. You may imagine that the expensive part is buying equipment, but the equipment does not matter until the space can legally and safely handle hundreds of people exercising inside it. A landlord may ask for several months of rent as a deposit. The lease may require you to pay for improvements that remain with the property if you leave. The existing floor may not support dropped weights. The electrical system may not be ready for rows of cardio machines. The plumbing may not support showers and locker rooms. The bathrooms may not meet accessibility requirements. The ceiling may be too low for certain training areas. The property may have parking, noise, zoning, or occupancy restrictions that were not obvious during the first tour. You can sign what looks like a cheap lease and discover that the inexpensive building needs a very expensive conversion. Rubber flooring for a serious strength area can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Mirrors, lockers, showers, drainage, lighting, sound treatment, signage, security systems, and front desk construction add more. Then you encounter the part of the building that customers rarely think about until it fails: air. A retail store is designed for people walking slowly between shelves. A gym can contain dozens or hundreds of people, producing heat and moisture for long periods, while showers add even more humidity. A few wall-mounted air conditioners are not enough. The building may need upgraded ventilation, stronger cooling, better filtration, and a system capable of bringing in a large volume of outside air. If the room smells stale, feels humid, or becomes too hot during the evening rush, members do not care that the equipment is new. They leave. Depending on the condition of the property, a modest independent gym can require hundreds of thousands of dollars before opening day. A larger commercial club can move toward or beyond $1 million once the deposit, construction, equipment, professional fees, permits, insurance, pre-opening payroll, marketing, and working capital reserve are included. This is the first point where the owner's dream changes. You thought you were buying machines. You are actually financing a specialized building before you know whether enough local people will pay to use it. Then you have to fill the building. A commercial treadmill can cost several $1,000s, and one is never enough. A cardio area needs multiple treadmills, bikes, rowers, and elliptical machines because members expect choice and because a broken machine cannot eliminate an entire category. Strength equipment can cost from hundreds to several $1,000s per station. Add racks, benches, barbells, plates, dumbbells, cable systems, mats, storage, and smaller accessories, and the equipment bill can reach well into six figures. Now you face the first decision that feels financial rather than physical. Do you buy the equipment or lease it? Buying means you own the assets and avoid a monthly equipment payment, but it removes cash at the exact moment when the business has no proven revenue. If membership grows more slowly than expected, the money sitting inside treadmills cannot pay rent. Leasing preserves cash and may allow you to refresh the club every few years, but it creates another fixed obligation. The lease company does not care whether January was strong, whether a competitor opened nearby, or whether half your treadmills are being ignored. The payment continues. If you close, the obligation may survive the closing, depending on the agreement and guarantees you signed. There is no universally correct answer. A well-capitalized owner may prefer to buy. A growing franchise may prefer leasing to preserve cash for new locations. The important point is that both choices commit you before you know what the customer base will become. Equipment also wears much faster in a commercial gym than in a home. A treadmill in a spare bedroom may run a few hours per week. A treadmill in a busy club may operate for hours every day under users of different sizes and running styles. Belts, decks, motors, cables, bearings, screens, upholstery, and adjustment mechanisms fail. A machine that is technically usable can still hurt the business if it looks old, squeaks, or remains covered with an out-of-order sign. Members rarely calculate the repair bill. They simply compare your club with the newer one down the road. That brings you to location. You may think the best site is wherever the most people can see the sign, but visibility is only one part of the decision. Most gym customers will not cross an entire city several times a week. The practical market is usually the population living or working within a short drive, walk, or transit journey. That means your addressable market is not the metropolitan area. It is a relatively small circle around the building. Inside that circle, enough people must earn the income required by your price. A luxury club cannot survive on premium pricing if the surrounding households are choosing between groceries and a membership. A low-cost gym can struggle in an expensive district if rent is so high that even thousands of small monthly payments cannot cover the building. Parking also changes the market. A beautiful site with poor parking can lose members during the evening rush because the visit begins with frustration. A cheap warehouse at the edge of town can offer space and parking but receive little casual traffic. You are not simply choosing a building, you are choosing which people will realistically repeat the journey several times a week. Now imagine that the construction is finished, the equipment has arrived, the software is working, and the doors finally open. The first customers join. This is where the gym stops behaving like a normal service business. Suppose two members each pay the same monthly fee. The first visits 4 times a week. He showers after every session, uses towels, spends an hour on the equipment, arrives during the busiest period, asks staff for help, and contributes to the wear that eventually creates repairs. The second member signs up, attends 3 times during the first month, then disappears while the automatic payment continues. Which customer is more profitable? The second one. The active member may be happier, healthier, and more likely to recommend the club, so he still has enormous long-term value. But on a purely monthly cost basis, the absent member is almost perfect. He creates recurring revenue while using almost no hot water, electricity, equipment life, staff time, parking, or floor capacity. This is the central paradox of the business. The gym needs members to believe they will attend, but it cannot comfortably serve every paying member at the same time. Imagine a low-cost club with several thousand memberships. The building may be legally and practically capable of holding only a few hundred people at once. If even a modest portion of the membership base arrived at the same hour, every rack would be occupied, every treadmill would have a waiting line, the locker rooms would overflow, parking would disappear, and the experience would become bad enough to trigger cancellations. The club can sell more memberships than it can physically serve simultaneously because it is selling access over time, not a reserved piece of space. Different people come on different days. Many come rarely. Some stop coming completely. The owner is managing probability. Too few people attend and the club looks lifeless, making new customers question whether anyone likes it. Too many attend and the people already paying begin to hate it. The ideal gym is busy enough to feel successful, but not busy enough to reveal that the membership count is far larger than the building could handle at once. This is why the evening crowd can mislead you. You are looking at the most expensive members at the most expensive time of day. They consume the capacity that limits how many additional memberships you can sell. Meanwhile, the people paying from home are funding the building without entering it. January makes this relationship even stranger. At the beginning of the year, people make resolutions, compare clubs, accept promotional offers, and sign contracts with a version of themselves they expect to become. Your sales staff is busy. The payment system begins collecting from a large new group. The club feels alive, and the owner can mistake the surge for a permanent new level of revenue. But January signups are not the same as January habits. Some new members establish a routine and remain valuable for years. Many attend intensely for several weeks, miss a few sessions, and gradually disappear. The payment may continue long after attendance stops. From the perspective of the customer, this feels like failure. From the perspective of the subscription model, it may be profitable. The dangerous mistake is spending the January cash as though the same pace of new memberships will continue through the summer. It usually does not. Marketing demand is seasonal, while rent and debt are not. A disciplined owner uses strong sign-up periods to build cash for slower months, maintenance, and future member acquisition. An undisciplined owner sees a busy January, hires too quickly, upgrades equipment, increases advertising, and discovers by June that the new monthly base was smaller than expected because cancellations and failed payments were already replacing the sign-ups. This brings you to churn. Membership is not a pile of customers that only grows. It is a bathtub with water flowing in and water draining out. New sales fill it. Cancellations, expired cards, failed payments, moves, injuries, lost motivation, and competition empty it. If you have 500 members and lose a meaningful percentage every month, you can sell hundreds of new memberships over a year and finish with the same 500. The sales team feels busy. Revenue barely moves. The club is running in place. Churn also behaves differently from attendance. A person can stop coming without canceling. That delay is one of the most valuable periods in the business. The customer still sees the membership as a possibility. Canceling feels like admitting that the plan is over. The monthly amount may be small enough to ignore, so the payment continues. This is why gym membership is partly a product and partly a promise to a future self. At sign-up, the customer is not purchasing the workouts already completed. The customer is buying an identity, the person who will become disciplined, stronger, healthier, or more confident. Your club has to keep that identity emotionally alive, even when attendance becomes irregular. The design of the space helps. Clear pathways reduce intimidation. Mirrors allow people to monitor movement and progress, but too many mirrors can make beginners uncomfortable. Lighting can make strength areas feel energetic and recovery zones feel calm. Music can reduce the perceived effort of exercise and create a recognizable atmosphere. Staff greetings make the member feel noticed. Group classes create appointments and social pressure. Challenges, progress tracking, and mobile notifications try to turn an abstract intention into a routine. These details are not decoration. They influence whether the member forms a habit, remains emotionally connected without forming one, or cancels entirely. The uncomfortable truth is that the business benefits from both of the first two outcomes. The committed member creates community, referrals, and additional purchases. The absent but paying member creates margin. The worst member is not the person who stops attending. It is the person who stops attending and immediately cancels. That is why payment recovery and cancellation procedures matter so much. Cards expire. Banks decline transactions. Customers change accounts. A gym with thousands of memberships can lose a large amount of revenue without making a single conscious customer angry, simply because small billing failures accumulate. Larger clubs use software and staff to contact members, update payment details, retry charges, and recover accounts before they disappear. Cancellation creates a different tension. Make leaving effortless, and more inactive members will act on the impulse. Make leaving deliberately confusing, and the club may collect additional months, but attract complaints, regulatory attention, and reputational damage. The owner has to separate reasonable notice and contract enforcement from a process designed purely to trap people. A business built on recurring trust can destroy that trust by treating every departing member as an enemy. Now you face another structural decision: independent gym or franchise. A franchise can provide a recognizable name, standardized layout, operating procedures, software, supplier relationships, and a marketing system that has already been tested. For a first-time owner, that support can reduce expensive mistakes. But the support changes the economics. You may pay an initial franchise fee, ongoing royalties based on revenue, contributions to national advertising, technology charges, equipment requirements, and renovation obligations when the brand updates its design. The parent company can collect a percentage of revenue before you know whether the location is profitable. An independent owner keeps more control and avoids royalties, but has to build the brand, pricing, systems, advertising, and customer experience from nothing. The choice is not between expensive and free. It is between paying for an existing operating system and financing the process of creating your own. A strong brand can produce enough additional memberships to justify the fees. A weak location can fail under the same brand while royalties continue to leave the account. Staffing creates another hidden decision. A low-cost club may operate with a small front desk and cleaning team. A full-service club may need managers, sales staff, trainers, class instructors, cleaners, childcare workers, maintenance support, and people present during long opening hours. Payroll becomes one of the largest recurring expenses, but cutting staff can damage the exact experience that supports retention. A dirty locker room may cost more in cancellations than the cleaner would have cost in wages. An empty front desk may save payroll while making the club feel unsafe or neglected. Personal trainers sit in the middle of this tension because they are both an expense and one of the strongest revenue opportunities inside the building. A basic membership has a ceiling. One customer pays one monthly fee, no matter how many unused hours remain in the day. Personal training sells the scarce time of a coach. If a trainer works one-on-one, revenue is limited by the number of hours a person can physically deliver without burning out. The owner can increase the price, but the market eventually resists. Small group training changes the equation. One coach can train several people during the same hour. Each person can pay less than the price of a private session, and the total revenue for the hour can rise. This is why many gyms create semi-private training, small strength groups, transformation programs, or premium coaching packages. They use the same floor and equipment to sell a higher value product. But the club does not keep every dollar. Trainers may receive commissions or a share of session revenue. The gym provides the building, equipment, leads, software, insurance, cleaning, and brand. The trainer provides expertise and the relationship that keeps the customer paying. If the compensation is too low, the best trainers leave and take clients with them. If it is too high, the gym carries the infrastructure while keeping too little margin. Personal training can be extremely profitable per square foot, but it is also dependent on people whose personal reputation may become stronger than the club's. Then come the expenses that were not obvious in the original equipment budget. Music played in a commercial facility can require public performance licensing. Business insurance has to cover injuries, property, employees, and professional services. Payment processors take a small percentage of recurring revenue. Management software charges per location or account. Cleaning supplies, towels, laundry, pest control, security, access systems, internet, repairs, accounting, legal support, and marketing all arrive as separate bills. Utilities can be especially heavy because the building may run long hours with constant ventilation, lighting, hot water, refrigeration, screens, and dozens of machines. None of these costs looks fatal by itself. Together, they determine whether the monthly membership base creates a margin or merely keeps the doors open. This is where scale becomes deceptive. A large chain can negotiate equipment prices, spread software and advertising across many locations, and build a recognizable brand. It can also carry enormous leases, debt, and corporate overhead. Bally Total Fitness once became one of the largest health club operators in the United States. Its size did not protect it when debt, accounting problems, legal pressure, and an aggressive membership model overwhelmed the cash the clubs generated. The company entered bankruptcy in 2007 and again in 2008 before the remaining business was sold and broken apart. Years later, 24 Hour Fitness entered bankruptcy during the pandemic. The shutdowns were an extraordinary shock, but the damage was amplified by a structure carrying substantial debt and a large network of expensive locations. These examples do not prove that large gyms are bad businesses. They prove that thousands of members and nationally recognized brands do not eliminate fixed obligations. A club can appear crowded and still sit inside a company whose debt and leases require more cash than the memberships produce. From the floor, you see people exercising. From the balance sheet, the owner sees contracts. Now return to your independent location and calculate the break-even point. Suppose rent, payroll, equipment payments, utilities, insurance, software, cleaning, maintenance, and marketing require $35,000 each month. Suppose the average member actually pays $75 after discounts, taxes, and different membership types are blended together. Dividing the fixed monthly cost by the average membership revenue suggests that you need roughly 467 paying members before the core membership business covers the monthly operating bill. That number is only the beginning. Some revenue will be lost to failed payments. Some customers will receive free periods or discounted rates. Sales commissions and payment fees increase with new accounts. Repairs may arrive unpredictably. The owner needs a buffer above the mathematical break-even point because the building cannot operate safely at exactly zero margin. If the club opens with 150 members and adds 40 net members per month, the business may need most of a year to approach break-even. During that period, the reserve pays the difference. If construction took longer than expected, some of the reserve may already be gone before opening. If membership sales slow after the initial launch, the runway stretches. If a national chain announces a new club nearby, your forecast changes before your equipment has been fully paid for. This is why pre-opening sales matter. A gym that opens with a large base of committed members begins collecting revenue immediately. A gym that opens nearly empty is paying full operating costs while building trust one customer at a time. But aggressive pre-sales can also create promises the unfinished club struggles to deliver. Delays, missing equipment, construction problems, and a weak opening experience can convert early excitement into refunds and bad reviews. The owner is financing the gap between when the bills begin and when the membership base becomes mature. That gap is often more dangerous than the steady-state business. Once the club passes break-even, additional members can be highly profitable because many costs do not rise immediately. The rent remains the same. The front desk may already be staffed. The payment system can process another account for a small incremental cost. This is the attractive part of the subscription model. A club can add hundreds of paying members without building another locker room, as long as those members do not all use the facility at the same time. But eventually, the evening floor becomes crowded, parking fills, classes sell out, and the club reaches a capacity ceiling. At that point, growth requires a price increase, a larger building, another location, or better use of quiet hours. Each solution creates risk. Raise prices and some members cancel. Expand the building and fixed costs rise. Open a second location and management attention splits. Discount off-peak access and you may train customers to expect lower prices. The business is scalable only while the probability of attendance remains in your favor. Now look at the first full year. In the strong version, you selected a neighborhood whose income and habits match the price. Construction stayed close to budget. Pre-sales created enough opening revenue. January produced a strong wave of memberships, but you saved the cash instead of treating it as permanent growth. Churn remained manageable. Payment recovery worked. The club built a respected training program, classes improved retention, and equipment repairs stayed within the reserve. Under those conditions, a well-run mid-sized gym can create a healthy owner income and a valuable recurring revenue business. Now change only a few ordinary assumptions. Construction takes 2 additional months. The landlord begins charging rent before you open. Membership grows slightly slower than planned. A nearby budget chain offers a much lower price. 2 important trainers leave. Several treadmills require major repairs. Monthly churn moves a few points higher. Nothing dramatic happens. There is no scandal, fire, or empty building. The evening floor can still look busy. But the club finishes the year with fewer paying members, more marketing expense, and less cash than the plan expected. A business that appeared capable of producing a comfortable profit can slide toward break-even or loss through a series of small differences that compound every month. This is why the owner's view matters more than the customer's view. The customer sees 1 hour, 1 class, 1 machine, and 1 monthly fee. You see a lease extending for years, equipment obligations, a database of cards that may fail, a schedule of trainers who may leave, a January surge that may fade, and a room that becomes less pleasant if too many paying customers use what they purchased. You are not trying to maximize attendance. You are trying to maximize long-term membership value without allowing the service to become so crowded or neglected that the members cancel. That balance is the business. So if you decide to own a gym, understand what you are actually selling. You are not selling dumbbells, treadmills, or even workouts. You are selling continuing access to a future version of the customer. Some people will use that access and build a habit. They will create community, referrals, training revenue, and visible energy inside the club. Others will stop attending, but continue paying because the membership preserves the possibility that they may return. They will create much of the margin. Your job is to build a facility good enough that active members stay, a subscription easy enough that inactive members do not feel forced to leave, and a cost structure strong enough to survive the months when new motivation is in short supply. The most profitable customer may be the one who rarely comes in, but the gym cannot look like a place nobody wants to use. That is the contradiction at the center of the entire business. You need people to want the gym more often than they actually need it. If you can keep that relationship alive while controlling rent, debt, payroll, repairs, and churn, the same room can collect thousands of monthly payments for years. If you cannot, a full parking lot at 6 p.m. may be the last thing that hides the problem from you. If you want more breakdowns of what expensive businesses really earn behind the scenes, subscribe to Money Anatomy.